Welcome to Toffee TV. Me and Dave today, holding down the fort while the others are out filming something very interesting. We asked you guys for questions to ask, and I've seen some good ones, so I'll pick your brain on some of these. And then, first one, I was thinking of this one before.
Oh, sounds good.
Would be good to
People can
speak
hear
into
you.
the
Yeah.
mic.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. Me and Dave holding down the fort while the others are out. So we asked for questions, and there have been some good ones, as I said before I had the mic towards me. First one I wanted to ask you: Europe, just point blank, Europe, yes or no?
Yes.
You reckon we can?
Yeah, we want Europe, don't we?
Not do we want? Do you reckon it's possible? Is it a
I think so.
possibility?
I would have said probably 4 to 6 weeks ago it was Europe in name,
Yeah,
but I think Europe is a really strong possibility now. I think it might have been you actually made a good point yesterday about the teams below us would have to pick up more points than rather us relying on our own form.
yeah,
But I think we've been really strong away. Back-to-back wins, but obviously at the moment we're just the best team ever because we've won games.
won a home game.
Yeah, because we've won a home game.
Yeah,
I think that it's going to drop, isn't it? Based on drop the placings in terms of who's going to win cups and things.
yeah.
I think we'll be a shoo-in for Europe.
Yeah. Okay. What would you say had to improve for it to be like? What do you think the trajectory we're on right now leads to? Because
I think the trajectory we're on for 55 points, aren't we?
yeah,
I think 55 will be enough.
yeah. No, I.
What do you think?
So I've said. I think if we keep doing what we're doing, the home form has to change, because there are some tough games. You can't rely on going to other people's stadiums. You know, that's when the other teams feel like, okay, this is our home. You can't, you have to get your own gaff in check. So I think,
Do you think, though, to come in on that 2 home wins out of 4 and 2 away wins? So we're saying we want to correct the home form, which has been a long-standing thing for a few years.
yeah,
But 2 home wins, 2 away wins would get you, obviously, to get you to 12 points that we need
yeah.
to get 55. Would you be happy with that?
I
Or
would.
are you saying you want to win every home game?
I mean, the mentality should be you win every home game, and then you have the big teams that, if you slip up in one or two of them, it is what it is. But you win your home games, and then you snatch points where you can away. Feel like Everton, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
You win the away games and you snatch points where you can at home.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. I
But-
think it's like I think Baz has said it previously, like bored them to death away, do whatever.
Yeah,
Get a point hook or by crook,
yeah,
be dominant at home. I think you're right on that one.
yeah. No, I also think, so as you said before, 2 home, 2 away, but then you look at the home games. I think Sunderland is one you can win, but then there's City, Liverpool, no,
Chelsea.
Arsenal's away, Chelsea. Yeah, they're tough. All the hard games have been left late, so I think, as you said, the trajectory we're on is, I'm just happy we're in a position where it's not that we're outside the European spaces and we think we have to get in. It's we're in there and we have to kind of stay. That's what helps me settle nerves, because I think Europe would be, especially after recent years, is really what we need. So yeah, just going through the comments
What's the
here.
general feeling in the comments about thinking we're going to get in Europe from people?
I mean, it's mixed. Lots of people talking about Spurs. I think that is Patreon members in relation to what you guys
Yeah.
spoke about before.
But the Spurs being the example of what could go wrong.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, but there is. I mean, other people will check me in the comments, right? But there is a single example. You can't then take that as sort of the universal truth. Because we've been in Europe and we've been rubbish in the league, even under Moyes in the early days.
Yeah.
I remember going to Bucharest, 5-1. We were thrashed, stinking.
Yeah.
And then I think we won the home leg 1-0 or whatever. And then we didn't really get going that season at all. I think we actually, if it's the same season I'm thinking of, we didn't win for a long time, and then snatched a late win at the Stadium of Light on Boxing Day, I think, and then we went on a bit of a run after that. But yeah, it was a poor. So it can happen, but I don't see Spurs as the reason to not want to be in Europe.
No, and I also think Spurs were in the same position last season, so it's obvious. It's not a fluke. It's obviously something's not right, and they've made it through the group stages in the Champions League, and so has every other English team, and the English teams in the other competitions are also doing well. So I think if we're talking Europa League or Conference League, I think the English clubs are so powerful that the jump isn't too big for Everton. I think the only thing that I would say is squad depth. I think that's normal. I think any team that goes from not having Europe to going to Europe says to themselves, okay, we need more bodies in, because I think Christmas time or after New Year this season we were like thin. That Sunderland game we were talking earlier. You had Barry on the bench. I think it was Barry and Beto started, and then you had Asnu, obviously Moyes does not consider.
We hadn't kicked a ball to that point, had he?
Exactly. He's not a senior name, so I think that's the only thing I would say. But I think with the players that we have, plus the players that we already have, plus the players that we'd bring in, and I reckon the players we bring in will obviously be upgrades, not squad players. I like to think there'll be upgrades. So, but
then some of your current team then become squad players. And I think if you were to overlay this season squad into Europe, right, take out, AFCON or whatever, just for a sec.
Yeah.
Asnu would have played in the European.
Sure.
Dibbling would have played a lot more.
Dibbling.
The likes of lads who were coming through, Braden Graham, may have got, a couple of games.
Yeah.
Lads who've gone on loan may have stayed in and around the first team.
Yeah.
Mail and roll would have got more minutes. People who've not been on the pitch quite so often as we would have wanted or would have liked, or seemingly in the trajectory there we're going, particularly in the case of Mail and roll. Patterson, would have
a couple games.
Exactly, yeah. And it would have staked a claim more for him to be a regular week in, week out, as opposed to having two different teams in the what Chelsea did last year.
Yeah, I mean, people are often talking about Moyes not being someone who can develop players. I just don't think he's in a position to. You're on the hunt for Europe. There are no games where it's like a charity where you can, you have some minutes, every game matters, every point matters throughout the whole season. But even now, it's like crunch time. So when people are like, why isn't Dibbling getting any minutes and stuff? What games do you want to give him minutes? Okay, 2-0 up against Burnley, and he did come on. Like, do you want to give him minutes when you're Chelsea, City, Liverpool, the game's coming up? Like, if he gets on the pitch, that's because he deserves to be on the pitch.
I think the irony is we've been run like a charity for a long time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, on Premier, didn't me and Baz talked about it at length. It's this guy's job is at stake versus the overall development. Now, I think within that development of the team, there has been an opportunity to make better decisions and give people more minutes. Yeah. Not necessarily hanging your hat on them, right? You're with the exception of Barry, because there's been nothing else because we've been down to 1 or 2, hasn't he? And he said himself that lack of options has made him put Barry in. We've seen that incremental development he's had throughout the season.
Yeah.
But as a hang your hat on Dibbling, he's not been helped by who's been behind him because we haven't got flying fullbacks.
No.
So, and he's been safe a lot of the time, looking for confidence. He hasn't had his breakthrough moment yet, which we all want him to have, and he will do at some point.
And I mean, just on Dibbling, he's just like from a personal point of view, he's roughly my age, and I definitely not to the extent of playing Premier League football, but I know what it's like going into somewhere and you kind of want to do a good job and you want to show what you can do. It's not always, sometimes you can overthink it, and I think that's what we saw a bit this weekend. He came on the pitch for a couple of minutes and he got on the ball and he was like, right, let me take on everyone, and I think that's something a lot of, it's an easy mistake to make, because I'm sure the season hasn't gone the way he's expected it to go, and he wants to, make his mark and stuff. So that's why, just going back to what we were saying, that's why I think Europe, that's where Moyes can show that he can develop players, and
it gives them a platform to then go and make the mistakes. Because we had it with, at the other end of the spectrum, we had it with Jack Harrison last year, didn't we? And we were saying, or Baz was saying, simplify your game. Yeah. And he did it at Palace, get the one touch, get the cross in, one touch, and we got it and we scored the winner from it. And Charlie scored. And sometimes it is just that, do the simple things.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think
do the difficult things first and the simple things well, and then just build off it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, as you said, give him the platform to make mistakes. I think that is a big thing. The Premier League, when you're on the hunt for Europe, is not a platform where you're
unforgiving.
There you go. And I reckon, I'm not no disrespect to Southampton, but they were really struggling, and that was kind of a platform where he was allowed to make mistakes because they were a team towards the bottom, relegated. That's what we're seeing with Wolves now. They're
going down anyway, so what have we got to lose?
Exactly.
And that's why Mane's in the team every week.
Well, there you go.
If they were 10 points better off and in that mix with Leeds, Spurs, West Ham, Forest, would he be getting quite the same minutes that he is now?
Yeah.
I doubt it.
And regarding Asnu, the situation doesn't really make sense to me. But then the Dibbling situation, I can see the logic, how things have happened naturally, why things are the way they are, why Moyes is the way he is. That kind of I do see some logic, some sense in the whole situation. So yeah, no, just I agree with what you said. Europe would just, it's definitely.
So Europe, we're in. There we go. That's answered that question.
There we go.
Yeah.
And then regarding the team, you did mention overlapping fullbacks. What do you think? So I think Everton have solid players in most positions, but where do you think Everton need to strengthen to? Is it strengthen positions where we already have good quality players, or what positions would you target?
Fullbacks and a flying winger for me.
Okay, left or right winger, or someone who can cover both?
Both ideally. Everyone wants that unicorn, don't they, who can switch.
Oh yeah.
A player who can, right, it's not working today on the left, I'm going to go and play on the right, I'm going to try and find where the hole is in the defence. We would love that. But just pace be great. Slightly different in terms of fullbacks. You want them to be quick, but it's more the stamina and the energy to get up and down all the time, and just to open the pitch up. Illy likes to dribble. Jack likes to dribble. Hopefully he's still here next year. Their natural inclination is to come inside. Yeah. So you want someone to go outside.
Yeah.
And we just don't have it, do we? No. Nico tries. Jake O'Brien gets a nosebleed when he gets over the halfway line. Doesn't want to cross it. His first intention is to pass it back to to Pickford,
Mm.
but he's a centre back, so
Yeah.
you can forgive him.
Yeah.
So to really bring the team on, I think fullbacks will bring it on another 10%, and certainly having pace, someone, and whether that's Tariq George,
Mm.
maybe it's someone else, we'll see.
Yeah, no, there's one thing you definitely, which I completely agree on, is, of course, if they're rapid, that helps, but they don't necessarily have to be rapid. It's just making those runs, whether they be a bit slower. It's just getting up there so the player can move in. You don't necessarily have to, it could be a decoy run, which I think they're called. So you
Yeah.
make the run
Mm-hmm.
and you have no intention of playing them the ball.
Similar to a striker. Striker will make that run 10 times, 20 times a game.
Yeah.
The ball might only come once.
Yeah.
It's the same premise, isn't it?
Yeah.
But just a different position.
Yeah.
Just make sure you're giving the defender something to think about. Is he going to go inside? Is it that overlap? And, put them on the back foot rather than having... Because there's too many times, and Diblin's struggled with this when he's played, of being double up. We're too easy to double up on in the wide positions. Because of that, there's no options.
Yeah, Dibbling, and as you said as well before, Grealish. I think I keep mentioning that when early on in the season, especially when I'd watch Grealish play, countless times when he wasn't on the touch and when he felt he could go towards the middle, Dewsbury Hall would play this bent run between their left back and centre back, which I'm thinking, if that's the full back, that needs to be, and they had that kind of, it was that pattern of play that they did numerous times. I think to myself,
you seen it at Wolves twice, didn't you?
Yeah.
We got an assist and then he scored, and then you seen it. He did it. Dewsbury Hall did it at the Burnley game, and he got in off
there you
that
go.
inside
That's
run.
exactly.
So you got them people making that inside run and that outside run.
Yeah.
Similar to like when people taking people next to me. Why have we got two people over the free kick? One's a left, one's a right footer. So it puts a doubt in the keeper's mind.
Yeah.
So how do we set the wall up? How do we set, is it in swing? It's just the options to have. And the more the plethora of options you have, the more chance you're likely to create chances, which is something we don't do.
If you're so, let's say, black and white, and it's so obvious what you're going to do. That's what people hold against Dwight McNeil, is like he uses 1 foot and he goes one way. And that's one thing people give Ndiaye so much credit for, is you don't know what way, the more strings you have to your bow and the more, runs that are made. But I completely agree, that run, now that I think of it, that run that Dewsbury Hall makes, he made against, that was literally the Burnley goal as well. Yeah, it's very true. But I also think that doesn't have to be him. The fullback doesn't have to always overlap. The full can also underlap, I think it's called. And that leaves Dewsbury Hall centrally. Where he can just like we saw against United, just
more players in the box, the better.
There you go. That's, if you want to score goals, you need players in the box. And I literally said a couple of days ago that fullbacks, it's a natural, it'll help everyone, including Barry. It's like a domino effect of the people it helps, and it ends up Barry, because Barry right now, I look at him and I just feel sorry for him. And we've seen that with Dom. It's not anything new. Dom struggled with that, but Dom's hold-up play was quite good.
So I said this on Premier, didn't you? You take names out the equation. Whoever's been up there, they end up being isolated. And that's a modern football style as well. It's not just an Everton thing. But then we just don't do that second phase of blood in the box like other teams do.
Exactly. Like I'll watch City, and Haaland is up there, as you said, first phase. He's up there by himself. By the time, whether it be Doku, Semenyo, or whoever's on
Semenyo, Savinho, Foden,
all of them.
Marmouche, they're all around him, aren't they?
And there are loads of players. By the time they're in the final third, Haaland has loads of players around him, which, if I'm one of Everton's wingers, I'll look up to cross the ball and you just see this one guy in a blue shirt around 3 or 4 in a line of the opposition. And I just think,
it's a very British way of doing it as well. not in terms of how the modern game's gone, but when you see players on the continent, central strikers, and there's not many. You go through, have a look how many are into double figures, and then I'll have a look how many have got 1 and 2 who are not called Harry Kane or Mbappe. But they're not isolated.
No.
Teams don't play like that in Europe.
No.
If it's a front three, it's a front three.
Yeah.
It's not a 5 masquerading as a front three like we are.
Very true.
And the big gaps between the centre forward and the rest of the team.
Yeah. And I also think teams... Sometimes I'll go on whatever sports app I use and I'll check the lineups, and it's teams starting to use 2 strikers because they're just going away like that. The one up top is just, sometimes they're so isolated. Like, I might be wrong with this, but Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
Griezmann and Lookman, or Sorloth and Lookman, or no, that's...
Well, Sorloth is the prime example. He came here at Palace, didn't do anything. He's gone over there, and I'm sure his record is close to a goal a game, or a goal a start.
I'm not sure, but he's done very well. Done very, very well.
But again, not isolated. He's got all these people buzzing around him.
Yeah.
And from Simeone, who's very much a defence first.
Yeah.
Battle hardened sides.
Yeah.
Not the swashbuckling football that Barca or Madrid play.
Yeah.
He still doesn't have an isolated number 9, does he?
No, it's a shame. Just a name that someone's thrown out, right? And we spoke about this before.
Go on.
Spurs get relegated.
Yep.
Pedro Porro.
No.
Is this
no, definitely not.
After the highlight?
Who's mentioned him?
Let me see. Let me go back. Someone mentioned Pedro Porro here. Tom O'Reilly, 19.
Right. Tom O'Reilly, 1932. Go and look at that 5th goal from last night and the way Pedro Porro just gives up. He wouldn't have got out of the Hill Dickinson car park if he did that. I'm telling you, that was the worst goal that could have been conceded last night. You cannot. Jed Spence runs past him. You can't have that. You can't have people giving up. And the attitude right across that squad we talked about, didn't we, off camera? But you cannot give up.
No. When times are tough, especially.
We know all too well, and we've had a dearth of quality in the last few years. But thankfully, we've had players who will just run.
Yeah.
Just run.
Yeah.
Who'll run all day for you.
Yeah.
And then prima donnas like him, I just no, not for me. Definitely not. That's
why I really worry for Spurs, because they think they're better than they are, and I don't think they're. I think the winning the Europa League last year masked how bad.
Ange looks like a miracle worker now, doesn't he?
He does. And I just think the players, you have players that signed for 40, 50 million.
He was one.
Play for Tottenham, yeah. Play for Tottenham. I
think Tom O'Reilly, was it?
Yeah.
Can correct us how much he was, but I'm sure they paid upwards of 40 affiliate to Sporting for him.
It wouldn't surprise me. They've thrown money at players.
Yeah,
money at
no,
players
not for me.
Yeah.
And again, I'm happy for him to come back and say that that was a one-off. It's part of the whole rotting Spurs core. So we've seen it, and we had it with Gordon. Didn't want to be here. Attitude stunk. Was chased out. Got his car surrounded and all that.
Yeah.
And there was obviously things that happened off camera and in the training grounds that are well known and well documented.
Yeah.
He's gone to Newcastle. He's pretty much doing the same up there now. These players, some of them have attitudes wherever they go. Jed Spencer's another one. Neil Warnock called him out at Middlesbrough. Went to Leeds, done okay. Oh no, was it Leeds? Again, someone can correct me. And again, just blanking the fans earlier in the year when Frank was telling him. Some of these players have got bad attitudes regardless. That last night, for me, is just unforgivable. But someone might correct me and say, no, it's they think he's a real leader or whatever, and it's just he's just a symptom of what Spurs are going through.
Yeah,
you don't know. Some players can really turn it around, don't they?
Yeah, no, but I just think I'm
not convinced.
No, I think to myself, I love a player playing for my football team that's like, I want to be here.
Mm.
And I'll fight for. That's why every time Grealish as well, but Dewsbury Hall comes out and speaks, I'm like, this is great.
Mm.
And when I look at Spurs, I just don't see fighters. I just don't see players that are ready to get, dig deep and
It's
do
hard,
the
isn't it?
dirty
Because
work.
we talked about it off camera, that whole falling in love with players,
Mm,
and this, Tim Cahill, it's why we fall in love with people like that, and it's people have had it with Grealish this year, never fall in love with a lone player and all that sort of stuff.
guilty.
Yeah, but the indulgence that you can have for people, and it leads into a forgiveness of some of their behaviour when you're in that scenario, just can't be tolerated. There's a reason why you fall in love with players, and you've just got to look, like you say, they've got to look at, or the opinion that they're giving off is that they want to be anywhere else but there.
That's that exactly, and that's why I'll always have a soft spot for Richarlison.
Mm.
Like, come from Brazil, I reckon when he was a kid, he didn't even know what Everton was,
No,
and
he should have done,
should have,
but yeah.
but and then he signs for Everton, and he's like, loved it.
Well, that's why players like Strakwalazi and Nias are revered.
Mm.
Absolute no quality whatsoever.
Yeah,
But just become a cult hero.
yeah,
Just on effort alone.
yeah. No, and that Porro, going back to Porro, just the thing that bothers me about that is you're in the knockouts of the Champions League.
Mm.
Like, that's not a cup game against a League Two side, and you're 3-0 up,
Mm.
and you're like, oh, I'm fine.
Mm.
You're in probably the hardest time of your career,
Mm.
individually and as a club.
And if just to expand on that, if you think clearly you want to get out, if you're playing for a move, who's going to look at that and go, I don't want to get, he's not going to get in the trenches, is he? Players running past him, he's giving up, and he's got the captain's armband. Oh, I don't think he was captain
I'm
last
not
night,
sure,
was he?
but he was
because
one
Romero
of the
was
leaders
back. But he was certainly captain when Van de Ven was, I think, got sent off at the thing. Someone can correct me there, but again, he's perceived to be a part of that Spurs leadership group, if such a thing exists.
Yeah.
Lead by example.
It's just, that's why me, James, and Baz had this discussion, and I think who do you think's going down? And I think we all three of us said different teams. And
you're on the Spurs train, aren't you?
Yeah,
I am
100%. And James, nothing against James, but he's like, nah, too much quality. Look at their players, which fair enough. You look at their players but it's like 2 years in a row, and you watch them and they leak goals, and you look at Tel, Kolomwani, and they are bigger names. What
would you have either of them?
No, because I think to myself, what have they done?
Tel
was a bench player behind Kane at Bayern, 50 million or whatever it was. Kolomwani,
I think he missed his opportunity to stay at Bayern when Sané went as well. I think if he would have stayed there and carried on developing, because he plays off the left, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, if you're good enough, Jackson plays. Jackson, Kane gets a rest, Jackson plays. Kane plays deeper, Jackson plays as the nut. If you're good enough, you'll play. And I think, he wanted the move, but I thought to myself, I'm not
even sure he wanted that move.
No. See, I can tell you, I'm like, my Tel knowledge is not. I was literally about to say I'd never seen him play before he signed for Spurs. Like, people were like, 50 million. I was like, I can tell you if that's the bargain of the season or the biggest waste.
Yeah,
and that's what's worrying. Kolomwani the same. PSG did all right. Juventus, no. Spurs.
He's never been the same since that miss, has he, at the World Cup?
Yeah. Frankfurt, he was very good. Frankfurt, he was, but then everywhere he's been after that, it's just been.
It's not clicked at all, has it?
Xavi Simons, I thought, wow, Spurs are lucky to get him, and he's really grown, and his stats have looked much better in recent weeks, but you know,
What do you think about him? I think he's too lightweight.
yeah, but I like Bernard, and I think
Oh,
he's
I
as
love little
light.
Bernie.
I think he's
Yeah.
as lightweight. I think it's just,
But there's a way to like Bernie had pillows for feet,
yeah,
which
and
helped,
the
and he could manipulate his body
there you
really
go,
well.
and that's what it
I
is.
don't see that with Javi. I don't see that little burst, like the little Bernie could twist away from
Yeah.
someone. He was never quick,
Yeah,
but his way he could manipulate himself and the ball was brilliant.
yeah,
I don't see that with Javi Simmons. I think he holds on to it a bit too long, and that
He
might be
does.
an experience thing. 'Cause I think he's
does.
only 21, 22, isn't he?
yeah, and his technical ability is excellent.
That was off the charts, yeah.
But the thing with two lightweights, I will always defend the shortest. I think an inch is 6'5", 6'6", and the smaller players. When I played football, the smaller players I came up against, the worse I played. Like, because when you're small, short, and low center of gravity, like I'd try and grab you and you run 3 laps around me, and it's just like. Whereas if you're
Disappear
tall,
up your own arse.
exactly.
Yeah.
When you're tall, it's like just you do almost what Tarkovsky does or what the lap tried to. That it's that kind of battle. So, but I do get what you mean though. Pushed off the ball too easily when you are short and lightweight. You have to. It's about timing. It's about okay, he's getting close.
Yeah.
I have to give it off, and that's when you've said he holds on to it too long. I see that. I can see that looking back now that he would get pushed off because he's just lay it off or something. But I think he'll go and I think he'll have a good career. But the other two, and then there are plenty of Conor Gallagher to play left midfield.
He's playing right wing back at the weekend.
There you go. I think there are countless. Palhinha, I feel like, or Archie Grace played every position pretty,
Yeah.
and I get injuries and stuff, but Palhinha is a 6 or defensive midfielder. He's filling out centre back every game.
Yeah, it's just
There's
no structure to it, is there?
No, and there's nothing there that tells me okay. It just keeps going from bad to worse. Whereas West Ham did well against Brentford.
Got a bit of fight in them, haven't they? These other teams.
Yeah, Leeds, very energetic.
No quality, but energy everywhere.
Yeah, they might outrun a team and get a couple points. Forest, individual quality, which you could same as Spurs, but they have structure and their individual quality. Players are playing in their positions, and
They're another team who are quite resilient as well.
Yeah. So Pedro Porro, I think
it's a no from me, Jacob. I'm afraid.
No.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Yeah.
Let me just go through what people are saying.
Let's move on quickly.
Someone says Xavi Simmons is a waste of space. Okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yes.
I think that was where we were headed, wasn't it? Yeah. That was where we were headed, but we were far more polite.
Yeah. Someone said they went from prime Kane and Son to what they have now. It's a massive drop off, and that's exactly what I said the other day. That I felt like the signings they've brought in. We were talking before, the players you bring in start, and your starters become bench players, and then bench players play less of a role or leave the club.
It's almost like with Spurs as well. I've just thought of this now. History repeating itself when they sold Bale.
Yeah.
And they bought a load of rubbish then. And they sold Kane and they've done the same again.
Yeah. I mean, I felt they downgraded in their, and you correct me, but when Everton sold Lukaku, or just the transfer, Everton bought four number 10s.
Yeah.
It's just
that's not. God, don't remind me.
Sorry.
shivers down my spine.
No, Everton bought 4 number 10s, and just the transfer strategy is not. And for big Spurs have signed players for big gambles, and you can have a gamble or two. Like, that's why I'm really pleased with Everton's. You have your, let's call them sure things, as in Dewsbury Hall, Grealish, and then you can have a gamble. All right, 40 million on Dibbling is it's a big commitment, but I feel like Spurs are, just targeted so many younger,
They took a risk on
unproven.
people like Colo Morani and Tell as well, haven't
Yeah, but like the risk is almost like too big
they?
or too many risks
Exactly.
and not enough
Yeah.
sure things.
Yeah,
As
there's not enough
whatever you want to
balance
call.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just think the transfer thing is off.
Yeah.
Transfer business is off, and players who like Son, who knew the club,
Mm. But
helped
not
keep
not
it stable.
not only knowing them, because that's obviously a big part in terms of getting you there for stability, but from stretching teams, it didn't make sense for me to see them get rid of Brennan Johnson,
Yeah.
whatever you think of him. But fast, direct,
Fast,
wide
direct.
player. They haven't got anyone else like him,
No,
have they?
no,
Unless I'm missing
no,
something.
no. Tells a striker. He's faster, but he's not. Brennan Johnson's very quick.
Mm.
There you go. And they sold the one. It's just strange. And I think, sorry if we're talking a lot about. I just think it's a big talking point now, and it kind of Evertonians can relate with what they're going through.
Yeah.
So, I think that's also why I think they're in the pardon my language.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Well, but make sure you do pardon your language.
Yeah. No, we've been there, and it's. I see lots of similarities.
Yeah, I agree.
In both.
Mm-hmm.
People agreeing with what you said on Ange. Selling Kane was a mistake.
I think he wanted to go, didn't he? Whoever said, a few people saying that.
Yeah.
I think he wanted to go.
Yeah, I think. But then there's another thing. I look at Spurs and their injury record. They've had like 14 players out every season. That's not normal.
No.
That it's just reason why I think they could be going down is because the pressure's bigger on them than any of the other clubs.
Yeah.
And the other clubs have one or maybe few things going for them. Spurs don't have anything going for them.
And without being rude, some of them players in there are seasoned at it.
Yeah.
Forest have been there. The majority of that squad, I think, will have already done it. Not last season,
Exactly.
The season before. West Ham, we've got battle-hardened people in there. Leeds, obviously.
Yeah. Leeds are, yeah. Malezi 6905, I said Poro has just come back from a hamstring injury, so that might explain the fifth. I think the fifth goal is inexcusable.
Yeah.
I think players have
I'm
played.
not buying that, I'm afraid. Not for the no.
He's come back from a hamstring injury. There are players playing with injuries at every club.
Yeah. Once the season gets going, you're not fit, are you?
Yeah.
You're not 100% fit, I should say.
Exactly.
No one is.
Kane wanted to win trophies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think they're about 18 points clear, aren't they, Bayern, as well?
Yeah. I mean, the first season, I just thought to myself, Harry Kane can't catch a break. He signs for Bayern and Leverkusen pull out. Not only did they win their league undefeated.
I know.
That's
Mad,
just like...
Yeah. But the German league's funny like that. It just has things that you wouldn't expect. A bit of an outlier every now and again, doesn't it?
Yeah. James Graham says, goes to show taking the next step quality-wise for players is hit or miss.
That is a big one. No, and I think I would say every transfer is a gamble.
Yeah.
I think that's a brilliant point.
I mean, just look at people in that room or the red.
Yeah, $500 million. Yeah.
115 million for, all right, Isak, the Swedish in me, thinks he's a very good player, but he's definitely struggled. And Wirtz is coming good, I'm hearing, but it's still like when they first signed the first couple of months, you think they're a gamble. I mean, in terms of quality, I think you can find quality where you're like, this will 100% work out, but then you have to pay the big bucks.
Mm.
And if you know, for lesser players, you can find like the money ball kind of method is easier. Whereas if you're trying to go for the best, it's either
It's a limited pool.
Yeah, you can't find like these cheap oh, that's a good spot, that's a good find. It's everyone knows the best players, and it's either
that's why Brighton and Brentford have done so well, haven't they?
Yeah.
You know, Brighton have bought 3 or 4 at a time, so it's only for every Matoma you'll have a Dingra, won't you? And even though he's won the AFCON and things like that, he's then gone to Sunderland, and then Sunderland I think he's at Monaco now.
Yeah,
Sunderland's got rid of him. He's gone on loan. You know, there's other players like that Brighton will have out on loan. You know, I think I can't remember where I saw this, but it was like, who's the next Caicedo? And on the stats, it was a young Scottish kid, and he was out on loan from Brighton.
Oh, yeah.
So they'd identify this talent pathway or the key attributes they'd seen.
Yeah.
But that model, it just keeps spitting out, doesn't it?
I mean,
which is brilliant. And you know, Brighton, they wanted Igor Thiago out last year, and look at him now.
Yeah.
You know, he's only second to Haaland, I think, isn't he? I think he's got 20 league goals now.
Yeah. I mean, few penalties in there, but definitely, I mean, scored a hat-trick against Everton, you know, like.
Yeah.
I think.
But there'll be plenty of people every time I come on here. In fact, every week, there's people in the comments saying, Baz, have you seen such and such? Have you seen such and such? Have you seen such and such? These players are out there.
Yeah.
I said about Ryan.
Oh, yeah?
Last January. Because I said, you can get him. I think his contract was coming up. You can get him cheap. You could bring Willian in, because Willian was on a free at a time. He said, you've got one to develop the other, settling in periods, whatever. These are the opportunities that you can take in them markets. And then he goes to Bournemouth for 40 odd million.
I love that stuff. I mean, I'm doing my sports business degree now and hope to do data analytics.
Yeah.
Just for that.
Yeah.
I find like.
But for every Ryan, coming back to, I think it was James Gray, who said there'll be someone who I've said, oh, he's going to be a world beater, and he's not done anything. You know, I talked about it with a mate of mine years ago. He said he was like coming through for Everton and whatever. Who do you think's the next one? I think I said Kieran Dowell or Liam Walsh, one of the two. And it was in that period where Unsworth just wanted to win the under-21 league and forego development. And and we'd already won the league, and we played Liverpool at Goodison. And Alexander Arnold was right back for them. Gomez was centre back, and Gruitch was playing centre mid. And he was going on about Gruitch. I said he's got no chance of making it. And then he was saying about the lads. I said, let's say it was Kieran Dowell. He said, it'll be a loan and another loan. And I was right about Gruitch, and he was right about Dowell or Walsh or whoever it was. You know that. You know, you think you spot a player who've got it. We've got everything in the world at their feet, and they never make it.
Yeah.
They make it.
There's loads of footballers out there. There's loads. And that's why I think because there's so many out there are so many hits, but there are also so many misses. That's why I think even more credit to Brighton. Like, they've just hit the nail on it every time. And I mean, but do you, just question for you, how long do you think that that strategy is, how long can you maintain it? Because we're seeing Brighton come to you're thinking to themselves, how long can they keep this going? Well, Bournemouth are in the prime of it right now. But then how long till you say, okay, either you can't maintain it anymore, or you have to kick on? Like, that's what lots of people have said about Dortmund. Dortmund are like a development club, like they do very well in terms of the Bundesliga, but they do. People say at some point you're just gonna have to hold on to these players, and try and take the next step and go for like the league.
It's hard, isn't it? Because Dortmund, no, it's not last season, the season before, were pipped on the last day, and they really should have won it.
Oh yeah. I think that was Jude's last
Yeah.
season. Yeah,
Yeah, because he was injured. He come off the bench.
yeah, in the last game.
Yeah. And if they would have won, they would have won the league. And I think they were top for a lot of it.
Yeah,
Whereas for every, like, look at Brighton now having you want to call it a down season for them. But look at Brentford above us at the moment, and have adopted the same sort of model. We've just referenced Thiago. There's other players there like Lewis Potter, Kevin Schade, players or other players who they've picked up for next to nothing. Coyote from
then players
Fiorentina.
like Dango Wataru, they've signed for 40 million, which then I look at that and I think to myself, they must be so confident in something that they're seeing there. No,
But he's already played in the Premier League, isn't he? So to your question, it's like, how long can that last?
Okay,
more teams are getting more savvy in terms of the data analysis they use and talent identification. But there's still teams who are doing it, isn't it? And I think there's room for it everywhere. Like you said, the Dortmund example. I'm seeing is it Nemecha linked with City again?
Well, he was at City.
He was at City, and he's linked with going back where instead of them going after Elliot Anderson, who I don't get the hype with him anyway, but that's another story. So I think there's always going to be room for it because of the cost of that top level you talked about. It's that next level down, isn't it? Because you can get 3 or 4 players for that top level price, keep one, but sell one a couple of years, whatever. One in the first team, one goes out on loan, and one's a young player, whatever. And then you sort of spreading that risk, to James Graham's point.
Yeah.
So I think it can keep going. I think it's a market that we've not got in readily enough, and anywhere near. Or the players we have had, Bjarni Vidarsen, just a name just conjured up from nowhere. Rodriguez, a kid we'd signed under Martinez. Look at who else. People will be able to name some young players we've got in the comments there who's just, they come in as a single entity rather than any sort of strategy, so it's in isolation. So and lo and behold, they've near enough all failed.
Yeah.
So I think you need to get in that pool. You need to be active
for sure.
Because plenty of teams do it. Look at Bodo.
Bodo Glimt, yeah. I mean,
crazy.
What they're doing is just unbelievable.
They've just got no right to do that, have they?
No, that's what they're doing is just it's
unprecedented.
You think football makes sense, and you can explain the way football works. And even to be fair to them, Spurs, they've made as far as they did in the Champions League.
And but I think that's coming back to your point before, isn't it, about the strength of the Premier League, because the money, but in terms of the number of sprints, is like an outlier.
Yeah.
So that power and pace that the Premier League has, and that's why that if you're a Conference League team from the Premier League, you should be aiming to win it every year, because just the strength of the Premier League.
Yeah. And what do you think of the other transfer, let's say, transfer strategies, buying off teams in the big 6, let's say? Because with Everton now, we've seen, Grealish was a loan, but kind of coming towards the end of his City career, or at the end of his City career, Dewsbury Hall, those have been like good moves. But then you have players that come to mind, Morgan Schneiderlin, stuff. Also coming, what do you think of doing business that way, and how successful do you think it is, or does it just come down to the player, the individual?
Yeah, I think it's on a case by case basis.
Yeah,
I'm not really bothered where that player comes from, as long as he comes in and helps us win something.
Yeah,
I'm not really bothered about his history, as long as he just plays for the badge and gives his all. I'm not really bothered about what they do or where they've been or whatever. I don't think that it can be. It has been a stigma, hasn't it? Because we've always been seen as that sort of for the Man U cast-offs, hasn't it? On previous years, Schneiderlin, Neville, Gibson, Sahar, Blomqvist,
Mm.
John O'Kane.
Yeah.
You know, names you probably haven't even heard of. But there's always that being attached. But I think if you can get quality there, like the Grealish. I mean, Dewsbury was a little bit different because he's only at Chelsea for a year. He's very much coming into his prime years. Grealish very much at the end of not at the end of his prime years of the spectrum, but certainly, you know, he's not as quick as he once was.
Yeah.
But can still add considerable value to us
sure.
on and off the pitch.
For sure.
So I think you've just got to take it.
Yeah. I really like signings. So I think we should be all over City's youth team. Youth, like James Garner, we signed from United. You know, I had a season at Forest, signed him. Okay, it's taken him a few years. But because I think with the big teams, especially if you come through the big academies, you learn the basics. So these big academies, the basics, first touch, short passes, they repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat. And James Garner's okay, and then it's all about getting the other stuff. But James Garner, he's so tidy and he's so, because I'm sure coming through, he's, you know, just repetition. And that's where people hold stuff against Beto. You know, he's got some of the other stuff, work rate, you know, fight, but maybe the tidiness.
Yeah.
And that's why, you know, we in the summer we were linked to like McAtee and players like that, where, okay, it's not worked out at Forest, but I just thought to myself, you know, he'll have the basics. I just think, yeah, I think
it's more. I think you're right. I think it's more a thing that you see on the continent from their academies in terms of poaching things for there. Because, like, don't forget, a lot of cities have poached from elsewhere, haven't they? From abroad, like, you know, Porro was at City's academy. Frimpong, I'm pretty sure as well. Was
at City.
Was Frimpong, and then went to was at City and then went to Celtic. I think.
Yeah.
Nemecha, we've just referenced there, another one. You know, so, but there's the thing about that is having a good academy is they can go back to them players. Morgan Rogers is another one. So I think being able to produce that is more of a where I want to see us go.
Okay, yeah.
Rather than having to poach
yeah.
from others. There'll be an element of both, but I want that balance of, you know, if they can get into a scenario where produce, and then it makes you money or it makes you a first team player. Yeah. Well, you've got that luxury, haven't you?
Yeah.
And I think that's where the club are going.
I was literally, but I do see that slowly. There were years where we had the academy ban, didn't we? Yeah. And then we had trying to win the under-21 league, and and then we had people like I've referenced it before, and people not going on loan until they're 2021. Yeah. You know, Ellis Sims. People going about having a striker. Well, Ellis Sims has been robbed of that development. Yeah. From 18 to 20 to when he first went on loan at 2020, or just about to turn 21 when he went to Blackpool, I think. Yeah. Frankie Okoronkwo. Yeah. Another one, 21. Yeah. Or 22, whatever he is. Yeah. You know, Tyler Onyango. I know he's had some bad injuries. You know, Reece Welsh, Eli Campbell, they're all early 20s. And for all you know it, with them in a Matthew Pennington situation where, you know, he's 26 before he leaves the club. He's barely made, you know, a handful of appearances because we've not had that development properly. And I think realising as well, like, lads who've gone out on loan, quite a lot of them are injured. Again, on Okoronkwo, Sheriff, I think he's 19, has had quite a few hamstring injuries. Will Tamlin's gone to Tranmere, he's now injured. So it's almost like that comfort blanket of youth football to then go into men's football. The leap is so big, and you see that when you watch the youth games. The leap is just crazy. Because I think last season, or it might have been season before, they were thinking about Jacob Beaumont Clark because he's quick. Might have got on the bench,
And again, he's struggled with injuries at youth level. Tyler Onyango has just had growth, seems to have had growth issues all the way through his career since he's broke through.
Yeah.
So how do we close that gap to stop that to when they go into men's football? It's.
I think it's all about you have to. I mean, for each player it's different, but you reach a certain age, and you have to go into that step. Harrison Armstrong, early, on the earlier side in terms of development.
That's extremely early, isn't it?
But that's what was right for him.
Yeah.
But like, he wasn't kept at Everton and for the under-21s till he was 21. You're technically ready to go play at a certain level. It's all about hitting those stages at the right time. But completely agree. I think there is a shift and a change in like, I mean, I was gonna say Everton fans were, like all their attention was about like staying up. So there was less focus on the youth team. But I have noticed this season that there is this buzz around the youth team and around a couple individuals, and it's all about pushing them while bringing in the next young,
Yeah. Because I look at, like, Braden Graham's already played in League of Ireland.
Yeah.
He should have gone out on loan for me in January. Kieran Leone, I think he played for the team in Scotland we got him from. I think. Might be wrong there. Will Tamman he'd played in the EFL trophy for Burton, I think. And then he's it's took him a year, 18 months before he then goes out on loan.
Yeah.
If you're deemed ready at that club for first team football, what's the winger we've got as well? Oh, he's actually been injured. There's a flying left-footed winger.
Oh,
forget his name.
Yeah, I know who you mean, but he's been injured and been back to the last
I think we got him from Wimbledon. You know
Maybe
what I mean, don't
in
you?
The comments can. I know who you mean because he's just come back the last few weeks, and he's really highly rated.
Yeah, he's another one who's already played league football. Get him out, And there's players you've got to keep back because you need a squad.
Yeah.
And they're not, and they might be late developers or whatever. They're just they're never going to get more than under 21 football. But them outliers who you've got, really talented ones, get them out playing. Help the development.
Yeah, but I also feel like keeping players at the team. So, like, for me, again, back home, not nowhere near English, like, academy standard, but I never wanted to go. I always played for my team all the way through. And I do feel like that's why I don't see... Keeping Asnu was... She should have gone out on loan, but it's not like he's sat in the physio and getting massages all day, every day. He is training with Premier League level players. He's probably on like a physical, like, so, but I do agree. So like Braden Graham, me personally would like to see go through this season at the 21s or in the youth team. Next season we'll see, maybe Conference League. If Everton get in the Conference League, still keep him. But Harrison Armstrong was the other side. And I don't know what tells me that one is best to stay and one is best to go out on loan. But Harrison Armstrong, for me, was like, okay, get the kid out on loan. And then,
but, I think when you've already played, I know League of Ireland, what standard, I don't know what it's comparable to, but when you've already played full contact men's football, because in the youth you just don't tackle. What is the sense in then keeping him? Because we had it with Stanley Mills and Isaac Price. Just kept them too long. They were well too good for the youth football. Anthony Gordon was the same, and then he went to Preston, I think, and he didn't pull up any trees. It obviously didn't work. And then he come back here. Carlo put him in, and then Rafa put him in, and all of a sudden he's playing.
I mean, Braden Graham's 18, so. And I think, he played in the League of Ireland, but then I reckon like I just think the level he's playing at now is like he's gonna in next week or something, is it? He's playing against Dortmund's like
I think it's next week, isn't it?
Yeah, so there's
yeah.
still good levels of competition that he's playing in. But then I agree, there are some players where they've waited too long, which takes me back to you have to reach the play at, go up to the certain stage at the right time, etc. So yeah, no, but I'm just glad we can sit here and talk about it's just positive stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
The youth team's looking good.
Yeah.
First team's looking
European bound. Yeah.
There you go. Let's
Build
go
on
for
that positivity.
Exactly.
What other questions have we got?
Yeah, let's go through a couple more before we go. A lot of discussions, private conversations in the comments. Stefan Dyer says sometimes a player shocks when given the chance to step up, but have to be used. Graham should have been given 10 minutes versus Burnley, for example.
So I think there's two things there. That's sort of a split comment. The first one I totally agree with. Like, you don't know what you've got. Like Asnu, you're like, how can Moyes come out after and saying, he presents us with an option now? Surely he must have known that this whole I see him a day in day out. Unless you've actually blood them. That sink or swim type mentality is exactly. Throw him in. What's the worst that could happen? We've seen it again. All of our life has been struggling, but Michael Ball and Danny Karamatri when they first came in, and Richard Dunn on a team that was just on its arse.
But then going back to what we've seen before with Dibbling, like Everton are in such a serious position where like it's not a charity and
no, it's not. But to the second point, what harm would it have done to give him more than a minute when we were 2-0 up, cruising it against Burnley? What? But then isn't that better to give him or the Braden Graham example, 10 minutes? No, I don't think he was on the bench actually. But anyway, let's use dribbling upfield. Like Tyler's getting a lot of it today, but he could have got half an hour. Or 25 minutes after we got that second goal. The game was so easy. And that's where if you're not going to start him, then at least give him that opportunity to go and get that moment. Not in moments where it's inherently difficult, i.e. Leeds. You should have shot. He should have shot.
Yeah.
Or other games where it's been hard. You know what I mean? Or the game's gone like City away. Get him on the pitch. It's that providing that more minutes, and then it can happen. Asnu the same. He provides a little bit of live wire, a little bit of pace, creates a chance. All of a sudden, there's a goal in the game, and the fans are up, particularly at home.
But again, I before I say what I'm going to say, I completely agree with you. 100% should have happened. The game was done. 20, 25 minutes, something like that should have come on. Just playing devil's advocate, do you not think Moyes, say he's not ready, which nothing has kind of shown from, we've not really seen anything
flashes
us to say like, he can do exactly what Ndiaye is doing and all of that, But do you not think Moyes is maybe protecting him? Because we've seen what he did in 2 minutes, the over-trying. Do you not think if he keeps getting 25, 30 minutes, then fans turn their back to him? Because right now it's this positive thing. But if he keeps coming on and it's like, he's doing too much and he's trying, and it's not coming off, it's like, why have we spent 40 million on this, The
price tag and the pressure.
Maybe
that's a good point. I never thought of it like that.
Maybe he's trying to... Because I'm always of the opinion, right? I think Moyes is... Even though I think Moyes is on the stricter side of this, I think Moyes is like, if you're ready to play, you'll play.
Yeah.
And
this is where Baz said to me before, did about Harrison Armstrong. If you're ready, you're ready. Type of thing. He's getting minutes. So
I do, but then again, I do agree with that. Was just me playing, just trying to understand. Which, as I said before, I do understand the dibbling. I can see logic and maybe what's going through his mind. But I do agree. Like, how can you show you're ready? Like, he could be ready, but he's not been given the platform to
And as
show
we know,
it, you know.
players famously get better for Everton when they're not playing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. As new is Roberto Carlos and
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. All right. I think that's us done.
Okay.
All
Call
right.
it a draw. Yeah.
All right. Thank you
Yeah.
very much, guys.
It's good that.
Thanks for Dave for coming on. It was good fun.
Yeah.
All right. And we will see you guys soon.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, do all that.
There you go.
Yeah. Go and buy the merchandise.
Oh, yes.
Stay in your seat till the final whistle. And up the Toffees.
There you go. Anything else? Or is that?
Have a good day. Yeah.
Perfect. Great.
See you
Bye-bye.
guys.